2 Timothy, the first chapter, we began a few weeks ago on the subject we're calling true faith. True faith. Our text is in 2 Timothy, the first chapter, and the 5th verse. He said, "When I call to remembrance the unfeigned faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in you also." What is it that he said was in Timothy's grandmother and in his mother and in him? Faith. But he qualified it, didn't he? He said unfeigned faith. Now, the longer I walk with the Lord and the more I learn about faith, the more I appreciate this phrase and the more I appreciate this revelation. Because if there's an unfeigned faith, what else must there be? A feigned faith. Well, the word feign means to act or to pretend. Well, if there's a unpretend faith, there must be a pretend faith. Other translations bring this out. The Weiss translation says unhypocritical faith. The New Living and the New King James and others say, "I remember your genuine faith." The Easy to Read and Basic English and others say, "I remember your true faith." True faith, hence the title of our series. Well, if there is a unhypocritical faith, there must be a hypocritical faith. If there's a genuine faith, there must be a fake faith. If there's a true faith, there must be a false faith, or elsewise you wouldn't need to distinguish it. And there are a number of people over the years and decades that have said and done things in the name of faith that was a disaster. I'm believing God. I'm in faith about this. I'm stepping out by faith, and it just ended badly for everybody concerned and actually brought reproach. And other people, other believers looking from the side said, "Look at that. See, that stuff's not right. That so-called faith bunch. Look at that. Just failure." And people even died doing what they called faith and died young and prematurely. But is it true that faith in God is a bad thing, or faith in God could fail? God cannot fail. His holy word cannot fail. Well, then real faith in God doesn't fail. Real faith in the word doesn't fail. So the answer is that a lot of what people have done and called it faith, it was not unfeigned faith. It was a fake faith. It was a false faith. It was people confused and ignorant about things. It wasn't the real thing. Now in 2 Corinthians 13, the last chapter, 2 Corinthians 13 says this also: "Examine yourselves to see whether you are in the faith. Test yourselves." The Good News says, put yourself to the test and judge yourself to find out whether you're living in faith. The New Living says, "Examine yourselves to see if your faith is genuine." Are we supposed to check up on ourselves, examine ourselves, test ourselves, judge ourselves to find out what? Are we really in faith? Is this true faith? Is this genuine faith? Now, the Lord's speaking to us here at Faith Life Church, and anybody else that'll hear these things. But we need to check up on ourselves. We've been in these things long enough now. I'm not just talking about us, but people that call themselves faith people, to just get used to the phraseology. I'm believing for this. I'm claiming this. We're in faith about this. Believe with me on this. You know, let's just take it by faith. Let's just believe. Well, is all that faith? Or have we gotten in the habit of, I'm claiming this. I'm believing for this. Should we, every time that comes out of our mouth, should we check up on ourselves and see, now, am I really in faith about this? Or am I just talking a talk? Have we just gotten used to this? And how many know that just because somebody comes and says, believe with me on this, doesn't mean you even can, or that you're supposed to try? People are in too big of a habit. Well, pray with me about this. Some things you shouldn't even be praying about. The answer's already in the Word. Something, well, agree with me on this. Well, some things you can't agree with them. You know it's not right. Or not only that, not maybe that you don't know it's not right, but you don't have a witness about it. It just doesn't register with you. And you could go through the lip service, but see, when we just pray, too quickly, and we try to say we're believing too quickly, and it's just empty words, and there's nothing in our heart about it, and we don't get results, that hurts our faith. You do that over and over again, you'll get to where you don't expect anything to happen when you pray. Where you don't expect something to happen when you speak or when you agree. No, we need to enter into these things reverently and seriously and respectfully only when we know we can believe. Right? Faith is not based on nothing. Well, let's just take it by faith. People say, act like that means, it's based on nothing. Just believe it out of thin air. No, faith is not based on nothing. Faith is based on the most sure thing in the universe. The Word of God. The Word that God has spoken to you. Faith, so then faith comes by hearing, Romans 10:17 says, and hearing by the Word of the Christ. That word means rhema, the spoken utterance, and Christ, the anointed one. How does faith come? It's not based on nothing. It's based on hearing an anointed Word and getting to know the will of God and the person of God through what we heard. Faith is based on the Word. Faith is based on God who spoke the Word. This verse here in this text kind of summarizes what we're talking about right now. Proverbs 19:2, don't turn there, you can just look at it on the screen. Proverbs 19:2 in the New Living Translation says, enthusiasm without knowledge is no good, and haste makes mistakes. People ruin their lives by their own foolishness and then are angry at the Lord. Does that not describe some of what people call faith, and they haven't heard from the Lord? And they just take off in a hurry on something, and we're going to believe this, we're going to do this, and they haven't heard from the Lord, and then it turns out badly, and then they're angry at the Lord. That's foolish, isn't it? The Message Bible says it like this, verse 3. People ruin their lives by their own stupidity, so why does God always get blamed? I'm going to read that again. People ruin their lives by their own stupidity. And how many understand that this would apply to some believers that are calling some things faith? And it just ruins their life and it's messed up. But then why does God always get blamed? How many know God is not the author of confusion? He's not in confusion. He's not in failure. He's not the destroyer. He's not the killer. He's not the thief. He's the deliverer. And when we really hear from Him and we really believe in Him, it works out. I said it works out. We get victory. We see results. And if we did something and it turned out badly and we called it faith, we just need to realize it wasn't real faith. It wasn't true faith. We missed it somewhere, and we don't need to blame the Lord. Go with me, if you would, this morning to the book of Mark, the 11th chapter, and then we're also going to the book of Psalms. Mark 11 is this great passage of Mark 11:23 and Mark 11:24, such wonderful revelation on the subject of faith from the mouth of the Master. But it begins in verse 22, when Jesus answered and said to them, have faith in God. Everybody say that out loud. Have faith in God. Have faith in God. Not just have faith. What? Have faith in God. I know over the years we've received letters and calls and emails into the ministry a number of times where people said, the Bible said, let your request be made known. So, Brother Keith, I'm letting you know what I need. And a lot of times it's financial and materially. Well, is that what that verse said? What did the verse actually say? Let your request be made known unto Brother Keith. No. Unto God. Let your request be made known unto the church. No. Unto God. Is looking at man the same as looking to God? No, it is not. Is having faith in man the same thing as having faith in God? It's not. The subject of this part of the series this morning is faith misplaced. Faith misplaced. Can you put your faith in something that you should not? Or in someone that you should not? Would your faith ever be misplaced if you put it in God? No. Nobody ever trusted in Him and was disappointed or made ashamed. But it is, I don't care who you are, me, you, anybody, we live in a physical world, and depending on how much or little you fellowship with the Lord, natural things can be more real to you than spiritual things. You can't see Him, and you can see people, and you'll be tempted to gravitate to individuals and to look to them. They're going to help me. They're going to fix it. And that can be taking your faith out of Him that you can't see and putting your faith in ones that you can see. How many think you should never have more faith in the creation than in the Creator? Never. Get your eyes off the Creator and get your eyes on the creation. We're in the midst of gearing up for the presidential race. And you hear a lot, who's going to save us? Who's going to get us out of our woes and our trouble? Which man, which woman is going to get us out of the messes that we're in and fix things for us? I can answer that for you this morning. None of them. None of them can fix everything for us. None of them can solve all our problems. There's only one that can completely protect us. There's only one that can solve our problems and issues and meet all our needs. It's the Lord our God. And we should pray about who we vote for, and we should pray for our leaders, but we should never get our eyes just on them that they're going to fix things for us. They can't. They're just not big enough. They don't know enough. They're not able. They can't do it. Now, faithless people are always looking for some individual to take care of me and to fix it for me and to solve my problems. But faith, real faith in God, true faith, puts no pressure on men. It just looks up from men and women and looks straight to the source, straight to the Creator, straight to the provider, straight to the healer. Have faith where? Have faith in what? Have faith in who? Say it out loud. Have faith in God. Were you in Psalms? Well, Psalms 20 is where I'd like for you to go. Psalm 20. In the 20th Psalm and the 7th verse, it says, some trust in chariots, some trust in horses, But we will remember the name of the Lord our God. They who? The ones that trust in the chariots and horses. They are brought down and fallen. But we who? The ones that trust in the name of the Lord. We are risen and stand upright. Well, what are chariots and horses? Well, chariots and horses were some of the best military and protective gear that the nation could use. Now, it's not to say that you don't have any chariots and horses. See, some people go too far that way. He didn't say don't have any chariots and horses. The problem is not having them. The problem is trusting in them, looking to them only, relying on them completely instead of the Lord. It's like people say, well, money is the root of all evil. No, the Bible didn't say that. It said the love of money is the root of all evil. Could you have money without trusting in it? Could you have money, even a lot of it, without loving it? Could you have it and just look at it as a tool to be used, realizing money can't save you, money can't make you happy, money can't heal you, right? Money is just a very limited tool. But the love of it, and 1 Timothy talked about this too. It said don't trust, tell rich people, don't trust in those uncertain riches, but in the living God, which gives us richly all things to enjoy. It's not having the riches, it's trusting in them. The rich young ruler that wouldn't liquidate and follow the Lord. It wasn't the money that was holding him out. It wasn't that the Lord was trying to get him to take a vow of poverty. He didn't say anything about that. What if he had liquidated and had sown all that? According to the Bible, there's a law of sowing and reaping, right? What would have happened? He would have reaped, wouldn't he? He wasn't asking him to take a vow of poverty. What was he trying to get him to do? It was obvious. By putting his finger on that, it revealed this man was trusting in his money. His faith was in his money. And the Lord was endeavoring to get him to demonstrate that his faith was not in his money. His faith was in the Lord. How are you going to prove that? Liquidate. I know that proves it, right? Talk is past now. You're demonstrating. But he failed the test. He got bound up in his own fear, and he would not do it, and went away sad and missed out on some huge, huge blessings. Go with me, please, to 2 Chronicles, the 16th chapter. 2 Chronicles 16 describes a man who failed to trust the Lord. He looked to men instead of the Lord, with bad consequences. But there's more to what was going on here than just this one situation, and we're going to get into it a little bit. So go ahead and find it, 2 Chronicles, in the Old Testament, 2 Chronicles, and the 16th chapter, and the 12th verse. 2 Chronicles 16 and 12. It says, Asa, who was king of the land at that time, in the 39th year of his reign, he was diseased in his feet, until his disease was exceeding great. Yet in his disease he sought not to the Lord, but to the physicians. And Asa slept with his fathers and died in the 41st year of his reign, and they buried him in his own sepulchre. Now, some folk are uncomfortable even reading this verse or talking about it. They think it means you're opposed to doctors and can't go to the doctor. Some used it at the turn of the century that believed in divine healing. They used verses like this to preach against going to the doctor. But I want to make it very clear right off the bat here that Keith and Phyllis and Faith Life Church are not opposed to doctors or healthcare professionals. We thank God for them. They're fighting the same enemy we are, right? Disease infirmity, weakness, and physical problems. We're going for the same thing. We're endeavoring to help people to get healed. They're trying to help get people to get healed. Right? But there is an issue and problem of putting all your faith in man instead of the Lord, whether it's for the health of your body or in any area of life. And it wasn't just that he was having trouble with, his faith for healing, but he was doing this in other areas of his life, and it just carried over into this area. This man, King Asa, he had trusted God and led the country in huge faith in the beginning of his reign. When they faced seeming impossible situation, they looked to the Lord and trusted God and had miracles. But then afterwards, he started going backwards. And instead of continuing to trust the Lord, he quit trusting the Lord and started looking to men. Let's study a little bit. Turn back to the 14th chapter of 2 Chronicles, and let's read what happened and just get the whole story here. 2 Chronicles 14 and 9. There came out against them Zerah the Ethiopian with an host of 1,000,000. How many is that? That's 1,000,000 foot soldiers. And 300 chariots, and came unto Marishah. And Asa went out against him, and they set the battle in array in the valley of Zephrathah at Marishah. And Asa cried unto the Lord his God, and he said, Lord, it's nothing with you to help, whether with many or with them that have no power. He's talking about them. Help us, O Lord our God, for we rest on you. And in your name we go against this multitude, O Lord, you are our God. Let not man prevail against you. Are they looking to the Lord? Are they trusting in him, relying on him? Verse 12, so the Lord smote the Ethiopians before Asa and before Judah, and the Ethiopians fled. And Asa and the people that were with him pursued them unto Gerar, and the Ethiopians were overthrown, and they could not recover themselves. For they were destroyed before the Lord and before his host, and they carried away very much spoil. They had a tremendous victory against seemingly, insurmountable odds, because they looked to the Lord. They trusted him. But look in chapter 15. Already the Lord knew what was coming up and what he was going to be tempted to do. And the Spirit of God came upon Azariah, 15:1, the son of Oded. He went out to meet Asa, and he said to him, hear ye me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you while you be with him. And if you seek him, he'll be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. Why would he tell him this? Well, isn't that exactly what happened? Here he is looking to the Lord and relying on the Lord. But here a little bit later on, he went the other way. Skip down to the 16th chapter, where we read our verse previously, but back up to the first verse. In the 36th year of the reign of Asa, Baasha, king of Israel, came up against Judah and built Ramah to the intent that he might let none go out or come in to Asa, king of Judah. Asa brought out silver and gold out of the treasures of the house of the Lord and of the king's house. So it wasn't just his money, it was the Lord's money. Be like us getting into our God account. And sent it to Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, that dwelt at Damascus, and said, there's a league between me and you, as there was between my father and your father. Behold, I've sent you silver and gold. Now go break your league with Baasha, king of Israel, that he may depart from you. He's paying people to break covenants they have with other people with the Lord's money. And Ben-Hadad hearkened to King Asa, and sent the captains of his army against the cities of Israel. And they smote Ijon and Dan and Abel-maim and all the store cities of Naphtali. And it came to pass, when Baasha heard it, he left off building Ramah and let his work cease. And Asa the king took all Judah, and they carried away the stones of Ramah and the timber thereof. And they built Jebah and Mizpah. At that time Hanani the seer came to Asa king of Judah, and said to him, because you have relied on the king of Syria, and not relied on the Lord your God, therefore is the host of the king of Syria escaped out of your hand. See, God had planned to give them a complete victory over their enemy, just like he did the previous time with the Ethiopians. He said, were not the Ethiopians and the Lubims a huge host with very many chariots and horsemen? Yet because you did rely on the Lord, he delivered them into your hand. For the eyes of the Lord run to and fro throughout the whole earth, to show himself strong in the behalf of him whose heart is perfect toward him. Herein you have done foolishly. Therefore, from henceforth you shall have wars. And Asa was wroth with the seer, and put him in a prison house, for he was in a rage with him because of this thing. And Asa oppressed some of the people at the same time. How many would understand this would explain how he got in this diseased condition? Right? To begin with. It wasn't just that he went to the doctor. Right? That was just a carryover. Just a few verses down from this, it says, and he was diseased in his feet, and in his disease, didn't just say he went to the doctor, he sought not the Lord, but to the physicians. What does that mean? He replaced the Lord as his healer with the doctors. Now that's not okay today either, right? We're not to take any man or any woman or any institution or any group and say, you're going to save me. You're my answer. Never look at any man or woman and go, you're my last hope. You're my only hope. If you don't come through for me, that's it. I'm not going to make it. Well, you're in trouble then. I said, you're in trouble. Because your faith is in them, not in the Lord. Listen to the language again in other places. In Jeremiah, it says it like this. Jeremiah, so don't turn there, just listen. Jeremiah 17:5 says, cursed be the man that trusts in man and makes flesh his arm, and whose heart departs from the Lord. It's not just in letting a man help you, it's you just leaving the Lord out of it and making them your salvation. Verse 7 says, blessed is the man that trusts in the Lord and whose hope the Lord is. He goes on to say, he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, that spreads out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat comes, but her leaf shall be green, and will not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. That's what we were talking about during the offering, isn't it? Even in time of drought, even in time of famine, if a man will get his eyes, if a woman will get her eyes off of men and women and on to the Lord and believe he can provide, even when men tell you they can do nothing, you can experience miracles and help. Who's your provider? Who's your protector? Who's your healer? Who's going to fix everything for you? It's not the Republicans. It's not the Democrats. It's not the U.S. government, right? It's not Faith Life Church. It's not your daddy or your mama. It's not your wife or your husband. It is the one who created the heavens and the earth. It is the one who can provide in famine and war. It is the one, your God, your Lord. He's your source. He's your provider. He's your help. Listen to Isaiah 30. Don't turn there, just listen. Isaiah 30. He said to them, he said, woe to the rebellious children that take counsel but not of me. They go down to Egypt. Of course, Egypt's a type of the world and the world system. And they have, this is verse 2, Isaiah 30, verse 2, they have not asked at my mouth, and that to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. Notice this, they have not asked. They didn't ask me. They just went to man. Now, nothing's going to work for you like it should unless you mix some faith with it. I don't care if it's a laying on of hands, if it's a prayer, if it's the gospel itself, or if it's an aspirin. Nothing's going to work for you like it should unless you mix some faith with it. You know, they do tests all the time with medications. And they'll have their new medication they're trying out, and then they'll have something else that looks just like it, but it's just a sugar pill or something. It's a placebo. But a lot of times they'll get results out of that placebo. Yes. Yeah. Don't they? When they say, well, we had, 50% better results with the real drug, that means you had some results with the nothing drug. Yes. Well, how could you have results with a nothing drug, a placebo, a sugar pill? Jesus told people, your faith made you whole. I reckon you could eat an acorn, and if you believed it would help you. Come on now. So in that case, it's not just the acorn that's doing you a world of good. It's your faith. It's your faith. Oh, but you got to watch about misplacing your faith. Taking your faith out of God and putting it in people. No, we don't believe it's wrong to go to the doctor. We don't believe it's wrong. I've had people before that have labored and said, well, I don't want to displease the Lord. I don't want to not trust the Lord. I don't want to use means. I don't want to use man's methods. I know a good-hearted man of God, a minister friend of mine years ago, they had suggested that he have a little procedure, a surgical procedure. And man, he was laboring over that. He said, I don't want to displease the Lord. I want to trust the Lord. I don't want to do that. And he was just troubled by it. For one thing, trouble shows you're not on the right track. Being troubled like that the path of direction is peace. And so I prayed about it myself. And the Lord showed me something. And I went into his office and sat down one time. And I said, you don't want to use any means. He said, no, I don't want to use any means. I said, I thought you got a splinter in your hand last week. He said, I did. I said, where's it at? He said, I got it out. I said, how'd you get it out? He said, well, I took some alcohol, and I took a needle, and I took some tweezers, and I said, and you performed an operation on yourself, didn't you? I said, you used tools, you used means, right? Sometimes people are inconsistent. They'll just do one thing without thinking about it, but then they'll labor over something that really is the same thing. I said, why didn't you just believe for the splinter to dematerialize? Well, no, it's just simple. Just get it out. And some other things can be just that simple too. We need to be led. But we don't need to fixate on something in the natural and go, this surgery, this is my everything. This medicine, this is going to save me. This diet, this is it. No, the Lord might use something, but never just get your eyes on that natural thing and fixate on it, because you can misplace your faith. That's how you can perish. And you need to watch this in business and finance, the same thing. People get fixated and go, boy, this deal is going to set me for life. This deal is going to make it. This deal, all these people are coming, and they're going to support your ministry, and they're going to support the church, and they're going to take care of you from now on. Watch it, watch it, watch it. Never let any man become your provider. Never let anybody. Don't get your eyes on something and go, well, this is going to make it. This is going to fix us all for life. No, you're going to have to walk by faith the rest of your days. Now, that doesn't mean God can do some things for you, but beware that you don't get your eyes off of Him. Isn't that what Asa did? When he's facing 1,000,000 soldiers and all these chariots, and he didn't have anywhere to go, and he just got started in office, he went to the Lord. He threw himself on Him, and he said, you can help even those that have no power. We're looking at you. We're resting on you. And He gave him a miracle. But after being in power for a while, and after being blessed and getting some money and some things, he got lazy. And he got lax spiritually. And here a lesser force came against him. But instead of even praying about it, instead of even checking with the Lord what to do, he just pulls out his checkbook. He's going to throw money at it and make them go away. And then when the prophet tells him he did the wrong thing, he gets mad at the preacher, throws him in jail. And then he gets sick. He don't even pray what to do. He just goes to the doctor, puts himself completely in their hands, and dies. Thank God for people. Thank God for doctors. Thank God for natural things that can help us. But let's never get our eyes on that, and that's my source, and everything is coming from that. No, God could use it. He could help it, but He could do it without it too. Right? He's my healer. He's my source. And nothing, if you take a medicine, if you have a procedure, nothing's going to work like it's supposed to unless you mix some faith in God with it. Get Him involved in it. Right? No, you don't want to take a medicine without Him. You don't want to go into the surgery room without Him. Right? You want Him involved. You want you're thanking God for people that's being used, but you're looking to Him first and foremost.